Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial. Now today we'll be drafting our straight skirt. Let's just say a pencil skirt, but it's going to be a high waist pencil skirt. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do today, and I'm going to show you what you need to draft this pattern. What you need today is just your drafting paper. You can use different kinds of drafting paper. I have the brown drafting paper. This is a bit strong because I want to have this um, pencil skirt as my pattern, as my master pattern, so that whenever I want to draft a new pattern, I can just take it out and I will draft my pattern and do some necessary changes that I need to do. So you can use the copy paper, the paper you use for your printer. You can actually use that. You just use tape to tape it together. Then we have a wider paper like this. Or you can use the gift wrapping papers. You use the plain side of it so that you can see what you draft. So that is for that. You can even use newspaper if you want to use whatever you want, provided you can draft your pattern. So the next thing we need is your scissors, of course. You need your rulers. Next time we're going to talk about different kinds of rulers and where I got my rulers. And then we have a marking pen. I have two different colors. You will see why I need that. You can always use a pencil if you're a beginner, because when you are drafting, sometimes you do have you made mistakes. So if you do that, then if you use pencil, you'll be able to correct your mistake. Of course, I need my measuring tape, and also you need your measurements. So the measurement I will be working with today with this high waist pencil scale, it is the waist measurement. It is 40. It is 40 inches. So I divide that 40 inches by 4. I have 10 inches. Then plus 1 inch for the darts. And of course, later we're going to put 1 inch again for sewing allowance. So right now, we're going to just use 11 inches first to draft our pattern. And then the next measurement we need is hip measurement. The hip measurement, it is 46. I will divide by 4. Then it's 11 and 11.5. So plus 1 inch for a sewing allowance. And so the length of my skirt is 27 inches. But this 27 inches is not the true length, because I subtract 2.5. I subtract 2.5 for the waistband, because I'm going to put a waistband. So when you add this 2.5 to 27, it will give you total length of 29.5. So that is my true length of the skirt. So don't forget to do that, because if you did forget to do that, if you did not subtract your waistband, your skirt might be too long than you require, So that is why when you have your true length of your skirt, so what you do, you subtract your band measurement from that your length measurement. So in this case, I subtracted 2.5. So I have 27. That's what I'm going to use for this skirt. And so, of course, we have, yeah, that is actually what we need right now. So now let us get started. So now let's draft our pencil skirt. So what you need first is actually, I'm going to make my baseline. Pencil skirt is very simple. I'll just make my baseline down, just down. Okay, let me get my stuff out so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So it's my baseline. All right. Okay. So here I will have my baseline as well, so that it will enable me to draft my pattern very well. I want to have very straight line. Okay. So in this case, let us say here is the front. Huh? Here is our front of the skirt. So there is our back. And then here, I just say here will be our waist, okay? All right. So the next step you will do now is to actually measure, there come this, you measure your distance between your waist to your hip. Remember our last video we did the palm drafting, and with that palm to have your crush, you sit and measure. So you can do that, or you ask someone to measure it for you. But you need to actually know your distance between your waist to your to down. So in this case, my waist down is 9 inches. So that is 9 inches. So I will just measure it this way, 9 inches. 9 inches, okay. That is 9 inches, okay. So this 9 inches now, I will just draw straight ruler. That is 9 inches. And this is the distance between your waist to here. So, and then we call this, we label it the hip line, the hip line. Okay. All right. So now we're going to measure the length of our skirt. So my length is 27. Okay. So you can see here is my length, 27 inches. So I'll just measure that, 27 inches. All right, 27 inches. Okay, I am measured to here, 27 inches. All right. So then I will draw my line. So that this is my true, or this is my length for now. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to add like, for the hem, I'm going to add like 2 inches. For the hem allowance, because you need to fold it. So I just add 2 inches. Okay. Okay. So let's just do that, 2 inches. So you can do that right now that you are drafting, or you can do that later. But in this case, I'm just doing that. So this is the full length. Okay. All right. So now, so what we're going to do, the next step now is to put our waist measurements. Remember I told you that my waist measurement is 40 divided by 4. Then I have 10 inches. So with that 10 inches, I add 1 inch. Okay, let's just say here it is. This 10 inches. Then I add 1 inch for the dots. Add 1 inch for the dots. Okay. Okay. Add 1 inch for the dots. And then you measure your hip measurement. My hip measurement is 46 divided by 4. Then I have 11.5. Then I put my measurement here, 11.5. You see? It's 11.5. Okay. So we do that. So then the next thing we do is to connect the line. Okay, just connect like this. It's not straight, as you can see. It's not straight. So you can use your straight ruler. I use a straight ruler. You can see it's not straight, but it's fine. Okay. So what you do next is you can use your, I'm actually demonstrating this straight ruler business because some people do not have curved ruler. So you can just use your your ruler to draw this straight. So what you can also do is to measure, if you want, you can measure your line, your hip, your knee line, however you want to have it. But in this case, I'm not doing that because I'm just going to draw this line straight. I'll draw it straight ahead. Because in order for you to be able to do that, you measure. You can just measure because now you have your uh, 11.5. It's what you measure. You can bring it down here, 11.5. It's 11.5. You can bring it to 11.5, okay? All right, 11.5. And then you draw your line, you see? I'm going to do it again. I want to be sure. All right. Okay, 11.5, that's good. So you just draw your line. Draw your line straight, okay? Draw your line straight. So you can see it's a little bit covered there. Oh. Okay, so that's that. All right, so if you are drafting with straight ruler, what you just have to do is to curve it very well because we don't want to have the pointy edges there. But if you drafting with your curve ruler, you see, it's the same. You can see you do it straight. So here we're going to have our dots. So our dots. So most of the time, what you do is you use the boss points. So the boss point or boss point for me is 9. How do you measure? You measure from one nipple to other nipple. That is how you measure it, and then you divide that by 2. So mine is 9 inches, and so if I divide 9 inches divided by 2, it will be 4.5. It will be 4.5, eh? Okay. So with that 4.5, I will measure it from here. From the front of the skirt, I'll measure 4.5, which is here. Okay. So with this point, from this point, I'll measure down. I'll actually measure down. I want to actually measure down my dart points. It will be 5.5 because top here, with the waistband, I'm going to have an half an inch. We will come to that later. So now, let me just have something like 5.5. 5.5. However, I'm going to just draw it down. So this is our connection. All right. So I will take my ruler. I will just draw the line down. Which is, all right. So just draw it down. Okay. So now, remember I have this mark here. That's where my dot will be. So now, this point, we're going to have half an inch here, half an inch here. All right. So here, half an inch, and here is half an inch. So we're going to connect this point to this point. Okay. So here we go. You see? That's a half inch, and then we'll have the other one as well. All right. So you see, this is our dots. Now the thing is, we want to have these dots 6 inches, but we have 5.5 inches because later here we're going to add half an inch for the sewing allowance for the skirt. So we're going to have that together there. Okay. So that is that. So the next step now is to measure actually from, because we call it pencil skirt. So from here, we're going to measure in 2 inches. So 2 inches or 1.5 inches, depends on what you like to do actually. But in my case, I really want to do like 2 inches. That's what you do, 2 inches. So from here, you measure 2 inches inward. Okay, 2 inches inward. You can measure 1.5, but I'm going to do 2 inches inward. So you can, then what you're going to do next is to connect this point to this point. You can just do it straight like this, you see, or you can do it like this as well. See, you can do it like this. So it doesn't really matter how you do it. So you can do it like this. See, so you connect it to that line. Or you can just do like this. You can connect it like this. You can just do a straight line. Yeah, but I don't really want to do that. You can do it straight like this, depending on what you want. Or you just use this curvature to do it like this. Yeah, so, or you do like this. So, depends on how you want it. So, I think I will just leave it like this, okay. So, these are the way that you can as well draft your pattern. But don't forget, let me just extend this area down. Okay, just extend it down to my folding line. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do now is to add your sewing allowance. I'm going to add 1 inch allowance for the sewing, and then here on top I'm just going to add half an inch. I'll add half an inch here in order for me to able to sew my waistband to my skirt. So I will add just half an inch. Okay. Okay. So let me just measure that half an inch. Okay. So that is that, half an inch. And then here, I'm just going to add like two, I'm going to have, let me just add an inch. Yeah, okay, add an inch. You can add half an inch if you want, but I prefer to have an inch. So that when I'm sewing, if it's too big, I can always adjust it. But if you are sewing and it's too small, it is a big problem. You can't, it's difficult for you to add. Okay? Okay, so that is that. So, all right. So that's it. So, and I've already have my hem. So this hem, this hem, this 2 inches, this 2 inches. The hem, you can do 1.5, you can do whatever you want. And remember, this is half an inch and this is 1 inch. So at the end of the day, we might have like half an inch both sides, because here we are not adding any sewing allowance, because here is the fold. Here is the fold of the pattern. Yeah. Okay. So that is it actually. So let me just connect this connect the allowance. You can draft this actually. You can make it a curvy here, but in this case I'm making it straight. Okay. All right. So, and then you can connect connect your line here. Okay. So with the curve ruler it's easy, but you can, as you have already saw, you can still use straight ruler. Okay, you can use straight ruler. So you can see it's fine. Okay. So that is it. So then you label it front. This is your front skirt. All right. So now we have finished drafting the front pattern. So we're going to cut it out now, and then we will draft the back pattern. Okay. So I have my pattern paper folded, so I'm just going to cut it into two. I'll just cut it here. Okay. Very careful when you are cutting your paper. Alright. So okay. So I'm going to I'll cut this off now. Okay. Alright. So I'm going to cut it here. So, as you can see, the skirt pattern is ready. See? But if you don't want to have it curvy here, what you do is just leave it the way we drafted it. Then you just instead of you measuring in 2 inches, you don't do that. You just leave it like that, and you add your sewing allowance, and that is it. You are good to go. So in this case, I just want to make a little bit more pencil, and I put it in 2 inches in. All right. Okay. So now we're going to we're going to do now the back pattern. Okay. So I just turn over my paper. It doesn't really matter. It's just brown paper, and so it doesn't have both front and back, so it's easy for me. All right. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do now is to use our pattern that we just drafted out as a template. Okay. So we're going to use this paper now as our glue. Let me show you what we're going to do first. What we're going to do first, this is the baseline, but we're going to add, let me use other color so that you can see the different what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do now is that I use anyway this line to make my base because it is nice and straight. So then I'll just measure from here. Just say from here, measure 2 inches. Hope you can see me what I'm doing. It's just 2 inches. So I will let you see later what is that purpose for, that 2 inches. I'm measuring from here because it is very, this straight is the edge of the paper. So therefore I'm using it. Okay. So that is 2 inches. So these 2 inches, we just connect it down. Connect my 2 inches down. All right. Okay. So in this case, I use it as my template, as you could say. Okay, that is 2 inches. I use it as my template because here we're going to be the back of our pattern, of the back pattern. So what I'm going to do now, I just trace it because the sewing allowance is already included, so I just trace it. So this serve now as my template. So just, all right, see? So you can, so you see that when you draft the first one, the second one you just use it to, as a template, you use it to make the other one. Oh, all right. Okay. All right. So just try to connect this as well. Okay. Okay. Just connect it down. So we're going to connect our line. So you see. So this is it. So now let us add the rest of our measurements. Okay. So you can see now you have your skirt. Okay. So with this line, you just draw. This is your true waist, your full length. Okay. So you put your full length. So they just hem line anyway. Hem line. Okay. So we're going to the next step is to for us now is to also do this line. This line, the hip line. All right. Okay. So you see, we have our hip line, we have our full length, and the hem line. So the next thing we're going to do now, the following step is to measure our dart line. So with this dart line, I want to make it straight. So I measure here 4. That is one thing you can also do. You can just measure like oh, here was 4.5 inches. Most of the time with people, they have like 4 inches or 4.5 inches. So if you can do that as well, it's good. You just measure that and then you have your darts. But if you don't really want to use that, you can also just draft a pattern like that. And then you don't add any dart, just do your waist measurement. Okay. So, but you see that with our hip line, we did not add any, we just add only our sewing allowance. We didn't add any other allowances because it's not necessary. So let the waist Already ways to add 1 inch, and that 1 inch is for the dart. Okay. So now from this point, now we're going to measure 6, because there is half an inch allowance here. So we just measure that now, 6. Okay. Then connect it. You do not want to have that in the back. You can also do that. There is no problem about that. But I just want to add. That. Okay. All right. So, okay, that's it. So you have your dots. Okay, do it properly. All right. So we label it. This is our back, and then you cut 2. And in this case, okay, this is the hip line. Okay. So here you can see the reason why we use this 2 inches as our base, because these 2 inches is what we're going to use as a zipper. We're going to put our zipper here, just a zip. Yeah. So when we are cutting our material and we are sewing, then we will mark the inches of the zip that we need. But right now, this is where we're going to put our zip, and then you cut 2. So there is no need of allowance, because all the allowance is already included. Yeah? So with this, we'll put it on. We'll cut one of these. Okay. So let me cut my skirt pattern out now, so that you can see. Okay. Okay, and that's it. So just cut this off. Okay, I'm going to use this to cut my waistband. Okay, so this is my my skirt pattern, my pencil skirt, and this is the back. Okay, so this is my pattern. This is the back, and this is the front. Okay, so you can see, let me just quickly show you. You can see they are the same. So when you put it together, they are the same. So you can see they are the same. So that's what we want to achieve. Huh? So if you draft your skirt and it's not the same, you should make the necessary adjustment. So it is the same, and this is what we want. Here is the allowance for the zip. Okay, so now the next step is to make our waistband. My waist measurement that I'm working on is 46 inches. 46 inches. So that 46 inches, I'm going to add like 2 inches because I want to have a button and I want my waistband to overlap. So that's what I'm going to do. So, mm, so in this case now, let me just see. 40 inches. So I don't really have enough. Okay. Well, what you do is that you can, okay, let me just do it this way. Because I don't have enough pattern paper, but I'm not going to, I don't want to take another paper, I just want to use this. So what I'm going to do, instead of having, it's 46 plus 2 inches, is 48. So that 48, you divide it by 2, then you have 24. So that 24 inches, I'm just going to do here so that later I will explain to you. Okay, let me just draw my baseline. Okay, so this is my baseline. So this is my baseline. So I just draw 3 inches and 3 inches. 3 inches. Okay. So that's it. 3 inches. Okay. 3 inches. Okay. All right. So 3 inches. So now I'm going to draw that line straight. I'm doing this so that I can have a very straight line for my waistband. Okay. So now I'm going to measure 24 inches, which will give me 48 inches, 24 inches. Okay. So this is it, 24 inches. Okay, 24 inches. All right. So I'm going to cut this now. Let me mark here. Just all right. Okay. So let me just cut it off first to show you what I have. Okay. Okay. So no, don't forget. Can just trim this out because now you have let me just trim it out and see. Okay. You see, it's easy. You can see the folding line, so you can just cut off your paper. All right. So I cut this off as well. Okay, you can see this like this. You have half of your waistband. So what I'm going to do with this waistband, what the fact that is half. So I'm going to here I'm going to put it on fold. Okay, here I will put it on fold. I will fold my fabric. I put it on fold. And if it's, I can, with this, what I'm going to do first is I can put it on fold and then I will fold here, or you cut it twice. You can also do that. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to show you later what I'm going to do when I'm cutting my fabric. Okay? So, and when you want to make it, because you want to have 2.5 inches like this, yeah? And then what you do is you cut it, then you add another, because it is fold, then you have total of 6 inches. Yeah, I hope you understand what I mean. So because it's 2.5 inch plus half an inch for sewing, then you have 3 inches. So now, because you fold it, then you have extra 3 inches. Then you become 6 inches. So when you fold your band, then you have that 2.5 inches. After you finish sewing your band to your skirt, then you have 2.5 inches. So that is it here. So when that is how it is. So this is the half of my waistband. So when you want to cut your waistband, you can cut it double. You can even cut it twice. Like you put your paper like this on your pattern, your folding pattern, and then you do it again. And then you have your total length of your skirt. But if you don't want to do that because it's too complicated for you, you can also just cut it just like this, apart half, and then you do the other one half. And therefore, you sew it together. Don't forget to add your extra allowance, maybe half an inch allowance. If you are doing that method just to cut it twice, then you sew it together. But if you are not doing that, you are just cutting it like that, and then you can only add extra half an inch allowance on the other side if you want to cut because of joining your skirt or whatever you are doing. Okay, so but later I'm going to explain to you how to do it step by step. Okay, now that is the end of our drafting of our pencil skirt. As you can see, it is very easy. It's very easy. This is the waistband. As you can see, this is the waistband. It's very easy. And this is the front pattern that we make earlier. And we just do our waistband. We add our darts. So when you close up your darts, you can see your waist will be even more smaller. And then with the full length, there we measure in 2 inches. You can measure in 1 inch or 1.5 inch, depends on what you want. And then you extend your hemline. Okay. So after we finish drafting our front, we now use the front pattern as template for our back pattern. So what we did was I went ahead and used this pattern, the front pattern, as my template, and then I measured here 2 inches inward from a straight paper surface. You measure 2 inches inward, you use that as your baseline, then you trace out your pattern, and then that 2 inches will become your allowance for your zip. Therefore, when you are cutting your pattern, your fabric, that will be at the back. Then you cut that in 2, while the front is cut in 1. So I hope this tutorial has helped you. You can give me a thumbs up if you like it. You can share my videos, yeah? And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe and turn on your notification button so that anytime I post a video, you'll be the first one to get it. So now let us close our our closing of the pattern today. So watch out for cutting of the fabric. All right then. Now be safe. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.